it actually makes more sense because I was talking to Kitty Bradshaw and she was like, you should offer you should offer like training on how to like start up a podcast. I was like, what? But every time now I'm talking about it more and more.
as we need to. The craziness to this all is that I'm back, I believe, and I might actually see a screen that resembles uh, real life. Oh, nope, they got me
Oh yeah,
again.
you know.
They got me again. They're I see my new improvements, Ma. What's going on with you? But I still see the downward spiral of today's stream.
No, no, just a little bit. I'm hearing it now.
Still Matic. We having a lot of turbulence this morning, but let me know if y'all in the chat can hear us as clearly as you can see us, or even better. Let me know something out there if you can. Always good to have a sound check from the other side.
Do something, man. I want to see if that fixes it.
We're not discussing Aaron Rodgers get his second Super Bowl ring, but since you are here, I got a bold prediction for you out there. Hope you like this one. Mike Tomlin will go sub 500 for the first time in his professional coaching career. G Honda, I never had more hate for any team besides the Packers, except for this guy that we call Aaron Rodgers. Wherever he goes, I can't stand him. And so I'm very, call it what you want, hopeful that he goes down just like the Jets. He made them Jets for life. And I really don't like Aaron Rodgers anywhere he goes. And he still finds a way to put my team in his mouth. I'm against him. I diametrically oppose this guy. And unfortunately for my favorite coach in the NFL, Mike Tomlin, hope you go down with him because you picked him. The standard is the standard, and you lowered the standard. What can I say? Nonetheless, you got any training camp battles you want to talk about? Steelmatic Network before we delve into exactly what I think is the most important part of finishing up this building of a championship caliber team here. Because I am solely gonna have to understand what the vibe around town is, G class. And I think, just me, it could be other people, Ben Johnson and his staff get to start taking charge instantly July 19th. July 19th is when we start training camp. And I don't know if it's everybody's feeling, but I might want to fast track us to being contenders. You disagree? You disagree that we have a path to that, whether or not it's very likely or not.
Do I disagree?
Yeah, do you disagree?
Um, Contenders to win the division.
We can start there.
We're gonna have to.
That's that in itself, I can't necessarily wholeheartedly agree with because and I don't have my homework to verify this. I can't tell you that every Super Bowl champion of as of recent has been a division winner.
Uh, I would say at least in the last 5 years, yes.
What? So we
Had
got we got we got Kansas City
Kansas City won three, Philly won one.
and,
Uh,
and And
and
where's our
the
lady?
Rams.
And I even want to go back to let's go see about Mr. Stafford. I like a little stat to give me any inkling.
Hmm.
Rams. Yep. First time they won the division in 5 years when they did it, but they had a tie for the lead, 10-7, both of them. So technically, because of I won't discredit the notion there, but let's face it, 10-7 will be the worst record for somebody to get into the playoffs this year. Anybody that gets there until you're not, I consider you a contender because that's where you get into the playoffs. But yeah, contender to win a division. Let's start there. Let's start small because that's a dead giveaway for me. But who seriously is your biggest challenge to having that division championship? Power player, how we feeling today? Sorry for the video problems, everyone, but we're gonna let G get to his answer while I'm interrupting. Like, share, and subscribe.
Okay, question again.
Okay, so who's the biggest threat or the biggest hurdle to winning the division since we're starting small? Is it
Um,
the division champ of
right.
last or otherwise?
If you're asking me the biggest hurdle as far as another team,
Yes, in our division. What team?
I will I will have to defer to the Minnesota Vikings.
Oh,
We have an issue with the Minnesota Vikings. It's a matchup issue. Now I'm looking forward to seeing how they adjust this year. With the additions, but there's a clear matchup issue between us and the Vikings. Now, if you're asking me, what our biggest issue is, I would say ourselves because we have a lot of new talent, we have new leadership, and we have to gel. So you know we don't know when that's going to happen. We got 17 games to do it, but we'll see, right? We'll find out how in the world that's going to happen and when. Uh, and once we get there, we get into the division. So we got some games that's going to really challenge us. I have to say, I have to say that as far as team is Minnesota. As far as anything else, it's us.
well,
It's absolutely us.
I'm going to wholeheartedly agree with you on the us because that goes without question. Everybody's biggest team, in my opinion, is what you do because you can only control what you do in any given situation. At the same time, the team that would challenge us most in the division, and by us, I mean the team that has the best chance to win the division, to me is last, the Minnesota Vikings. Because I don't,
Okay.
I really don't see no 15-2 happening with JJ McCarthy. I'm steadfast in that one. You're not going to get me to
Okay.
talk about proving and gelling things together. Somebody who wasn't a great quarterback when he played quarterback in college and hasn't touched the ball in the NFL. He's really going to have to give me a proof. I would pick the Packers to be more of a division nuisance for me than the Vikings, and I'm being all wholly disrespectful to Flores and everybody else. Caleb's best performances came against the Blitz last year, and incompetence is a crutch all its own. I don't see that happening, but in terms of an actual team, the Vikings I think got the most to prove in the division. Period, because you got the most unproven commodity of all. Yes, a new coach, he is, but he's done something in the NFL. JJ has done absolutely nothing. So I would say, unfortunately, the Packers, just in a sense of the most solidarity, give them the better chance if they can show up their defense. Once again, we always talk about that with them, but if they can do more with their defense, I think they have a better chance to win the division. I'm handicapping Detroit for the losses. They're gonna have to prove that to me, just like we got to prove that we can put things together. But Packers have seen the least amount of turnaround, if you ask me, in the division this year. So I'm gonna say that they pose the biggest threat to win the division, not to us as an individual matchup. Moving on, since we talk about us and how we have to do things to move forward the narrative about us being a contender, we bring in a little bulk mail around. The offensive line pressure cooker that we have, or the question that I have most importantly for you, G, Braxton Jones. So we'll set the scene for you, just so you know. Last year, Caleb got sacked 68 times, third most in NFL history. And we got to understand that not all of those were a product of the offensive line. Williams held onto the ball sometimes, and I think 17 of those sacks he's responsible for just in holding the ball past the requisite amount of seconds that they would have to, which is 2.79 or something like that. But nonetheless, 68 is 68, and that has to be an absolute recipe for disaster, G Honda, for anybody's quarterback prospects. I don't believe anybody does well getting sacked 68 times. So protecting our number one overall pick, the franchise guy, that's priority A, B, and C, if you ask me. And so we kick it off with the guys up front. G class, let me know. Braxton Jones. We'll go with this in percentages because I don't want to necessarily speak of him in terms of usurping because no one's put the pads on yet. So we're going to give three people. When we talk about the offensive line, I want to see if you believe, percentage-wise, what they have out of 100% chance to be the starting left tackle. First up is the incumbent Braxton Jones. The reasons why we think that Braxton has a question mark attached to him: new coach, didn't pick him. An average, at best, if you want to call it, left tackle, 5th round pick, and he's had some injury concern. Nonetheless, his play has never taken a direct nosedive, and being a 5th round pick, he's always been classified as serviceable, G-class. So, if we can go through any number of plays or a season that stands out to you in terms of body of work for Mr. Braxton Jones, the percentage chance that he has to remain our left tackle for the upcoming season. And any factors that you have leading to that, feel free to list those.
Braxton Jones, the chance that he's our left tackle to start or left tackle for the season?
I'm going for the season. I don't want to speak of anybody in terms of losing a job. That's an easy way out. I want to know who's going to be the man.
Right now, at this moment, before training camp, I got to give him maybe 40% chance.
Okay.
Just based off, and that's based off of what I've been hearing.
Such as?
They love Ozzie Trapillo. Or Trapillo.
Yep, Mr. Trapillo.
And they drafted Karan. They want to give him a chance. Braxton's really gonna have to come in and wow them with a level of consistency that he has yet to show, unfortunately.
And I'm curious about that last part. You said they drafted Karan. Who drafted Braxton? Same regime, same people, same general manager.
It doesn't matter.
I get what you're saying, but that, so conversely, it shouldn't matter that they drafted Amagati because Ryan Poles drafted both of them. He drafted all three of them. He has a tie to all of them. The only one that Ben has a tie to is Ozzie, but nobody's put pads on him. So 40%.
Correct.
40% for him.
I go with 40% right now.
40%. I like it. So now, since we spoke of him last, we'll go into his first challenger. I say first challenger because he's the veteran presence between, or the conduit between Ozzie and Braxton. will go with the person that was drafted last year. Got off to a rough start, but it's a third round pick, so people forget that oftentimes. But a third round pick is never someone should be thrown away so very easily like it was a low pick because it was a very high pick. Karan Amagaji, second year pro, drafted out of Yale. Always had a high upside, raw talent. Dealt with a lot of injury last year. When they brought him in, threw him to the wolves basically. What I want to know from you, same question. Now, just to give you a little bit of for him last year, he played in total 6 games. He started 1, Minnesota. Go figure. And 8 pressures, 5 penalties on 126 snaps. I'm going to guess on the percentage of snaps, that's pretty bad. His PFF grade wasn't so high, but nonetheless, Karan Amagaji, G-Class. Go ahead and give me your thought process on his prospects of being the starter. Go.
Well, Karan they've considered him a project. He started off behind, if you want to, look at it as far as when they drafted him, he was injured, so he never got that fresh, running start that you will want. And typically, when that happens with a lineman, they're behind.
Okay.
When we saw him later on in the year in Minnesota, it was truly a disservice to him. I don't know why they did that. I guess maybe they wanted to get something on tape.
Goofy.
It didn't make any sense to me, but they sent him out there and he got killed. So what does that mean now? If he comes into training camp, ladies and gentlemen, if he comes into training camp healthy, I would give him a fighting chance. I give him a 25% chance that he's got some work to do. He just like Braxton. This is such a tough spot, but just like Braxton, but he just doesn't have as much tape, right? Braxton's been here a while. We've seen what he can do in a sense. Karan, he has people backing him. He's got support. But he's got to come in and show that he's not only that he's healthy, but and it's going to sound weird, but he's taking a jump in a sense from his first year to his second year, because they've seen him in the building.
Preparation.
We haven't seen him nearly as much.
Taking treatments, all the things that make you a pro that you weren't able to engage in last year so much. But my question to you is, and I'm perplexed by it, Karan has been in every voluntary OTA. When the rookies were there, just like Caleb stayed behind, Karan did as well. There have been no absolute reports of anybody being injured whatsoever except for the rehab and Braxton Jones. So why we would question health for Karan based on last year would be somewhat, for me, disingenuous in the fact that this year, this regime has not had him sit out for anything, and he's been splitting 50-50 with Ozzie all of the snaps. So why I think he has not the separation that everybody else does. Last year will be held against him because of his injuries and the showing that he had on film. Nonetheless, as you spoke about, Dan Rauscher speaks solely of him. I've not heard Rauscher speak about any of the old linemen names specifically, except for Karan, and they brought him in to be this savant. What I think about his particular percentage of starting, I think it may be your 25%. And while it may be your 25%, I think it's in a different position. I don't see Karan Amagaji as being a future left tackle, swing tackle, or anything like that. In my heart of hearts, I believe that Rauscher may see him as the eventual replacement to Joe Tooney at left guard. And I say that because obviously we know the person we're about to talk about next was drafted this year. And so I wouldn't have any reason to believe that they don't want him to play. But it also speaks to what you spoke about in terms of getting a return on investment and not being lost in the shuffle. I don't think they want him to get too far behind, but I think that they brought somebody in to ensure that he doesn't get too far behind. So while I will go with your 25%, I say his 25% to be able to start this year would come in a learning sort of situation under the tutelage of Joe Tooney to be the eventual left guard, and I still don't see him hitting the field this much other than spot starts, if that makes sense to you.
Okay, I get you. That's fair.
Before we move on, like, share, and subscribe to the comment. My apologies for the video at times. People, we will get that together. Secondly, I got a bit of breaking news. Kevin Durant was just traded to the Houston Rockets. Don't know all the finalized details to that one right there. I think that the Rockets did a disservice to themselves right there. If anybody that was a young team that Kevin Durant should have went to, in my humble opinion, it should have been to the San Antonio Spurs, because you could have let him be exactly what he is, a scorer that doesn't have to be a veteran leader, because that he is not. Nonetheless, we'll get back to football. Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets. Anybody who likes basketball. Crazy. That threw me off a little bit. It popped straight through my phone. I had to get that one off because I got thoughts about it, but we'll get to that at some other point. The last person we got pushing is the person I think that everybody has at their forefront of being able to man the starting spot. And let's backtrack one moment. I give Braxton a 60% chance of holding down his spot this year. I think that Braxton is often undersold. I think that also, by giving Braxton the opportunity to be under the tutelage of Rauscher and project himself in a better light, I don't foresee us re-signing Braxton, but I do believe it gives them a higher opportunity to get a better compensatory draft pick when he leaves as a more polished, proven commodity that just was not able to beat out the second round talent that was, too good to be true. So while I do see Braxton getting the large majority of the snaps for the remainder of the season, I do not think that injury will not be something that he succumbs to. Bro, man,
So
what up?
you think Braxton's?
Yep.
You think Braxton's gonna stay clean the whole year?
No, I think Braxton is the undisputed starter. I think the games that Braxton loses this year are to injury. I don't think they're to losing your position to Ozzie this year. And I say that because in some ways it benefits the Bears in a duplicitous manner. If Ozzie, let's just say Ozzie is great, but Braxton just fights for his life this year. It is in my humble opinion that they have no doubt they're moving on from Braxton next year. But in terms of when somebody leaves your team, unlike i.e. Tevin Jenkins. Tevin signed for a 1-year base minimum type deal. The compensatory draft pick they might get in the formula next year for him is going to be little to none, if anything. Whereas if Braxton is a heavily sought out left tackle for somebody, you stand to get a third round compensatory draft pick and further cement what you got going on, in addition to you already have the replacement on your roster. I think Ozzie is good enough to be able to take that position. I just think that the majority of the games, including towards the end, it won't be a passing of the guard. The games Braxton misses this year for me will be due to bumps and bruises as opposed to skill. But we will give G-Class the last opportunity to speak on the offensive lineman. The man of the hour, Mr. Trapillo. Daddy say he is a Viking man. He's not doing a salsa anywhere. 1 L, no 2. So Ozzie, second round pick of the 2025 draft. Some people call him the most pro-ready talent in the draft as far as the tackle goes. And like we said, him and Karan have been back and forth as far as divvying up the first team reps. Everything in the shorts Olympics say that both of those guys are making strides, and Ozzie is everything that we want. A big 6'7" behemoth that has tactical skill and bear strength. You understand? We'll talk about it that way. So what say you? Because I do believe, I'm just gonna speculate out here. I think that he may get the best rating and the best thoughts from Mr. Class over here. But go ahead. Percentage that Ozzie is our starting left tackle and new protector of the blind side for one Caleb Williams, percentage wise. Let's go.
The chances that he'll be starting on game one. That's what we're saying.
Like I said, I want to look at this for a season type thing. I don't even want to look at it. So let's say, and when I say season, I mean that you played the majority of the games at that position. If it's 17 games, 10 of them is for me. Mean you were the starter. I won't try to get so nuanced that you got to just come in day one and snatch it away. If you started more than him, you were the starter for the majority of the year. Bottom line.
Okay, I got you. I'm gonna go with 25% again.
Ooh.
Because if Braxton can stay clean, why would they go with anybody else? You got Braxton on the left, and then you got Joe Tooney next to him. Like, why would you go away from that? If it's working, you stick with it. Now you want to get Ozzy reps in there, so that's why I give you the 25%. But it's gonna be hard to keep Ozzy back, man.
Yes.
It feels like one of those situations. Like as soon as maybe Braxton is either he's not there or he loses his job and Ozzy's got to get in there. It feels like Braxton won't be getting it back. It feels like one of those situations, kind of like
True.
Drew Bledsoe and
True.
Tom Brady.
True.
Right.
I can totally agree with that. Yeah.
As soon as Drew Bledsoe got hurt, we was like, man, we love Drew Bledsoe,
But
and Tom Brady got hurt. Like, yeah,
we ain't gonna miss him too much. Like, all right, I see you over there on the bench, bro. What up, dog? I get you. I can get that.
Right.
Sad business.
I'm gonna still go with 25%, but I think Ozzy's